You don't know what's out there.
That's why I would go.
Hi, and welcome back to Wild Dream, where we give you the freshest takes on the latest movies. My name is David.
And my name is Daniel.
And we are back for episode 102. Is it still significant? Should I still keep mentioning the episode number?
After 100, every single episode is just unbelievably special and groundbreaking. So, of course, we have to mention it every time now.
Every episode's a bonus episode for you guys.
Yeah, it's like it's like a wink and a nod. It's like a yeah, it's episode 102. Yeah, I said 102. You know, it's like we're bragging.
Triple digits.
Triple digits or whatever.
Guys, digits is slang for digits. I'm just using slang.
I'm just using slang, guys. If it's just now joining the podcast, digits is short for digits. I'm just using slang, guys.
I'm just using slang. Yes, episode 102, and we've got an absolute banger for you guys here.
Yes.
We just saw Bring Her Back. Now, this has been one of our most anticipated movies of the year.
Yes.
And we have said that a lot this year already, and we're going to continue saying that a lot this year because this is a very, very good year for movies.
It is.
For instance, I'm sure you guys are like, well, I'm surprised you guys aren't doing the Phoenician scheme. Yes, that's what it is. I keep just calling it the Phoenician.
But you know what? It's what, Wes Anderson movies, you can just put it, it's like a generator. Just get three names, you know? The delicate philosophy. There you go. The delicate philosophy.
Yeah, you know what?
That new Wes Anderson movie?
The new Wes. God damn, that was really fucking good. I kind of hate how good that was. Anyways, but no, once upon a time, we reviewed a movie called Talk to Me. And that movie, we gave a pretty decent score. It wasn't a low score. We said that we liked the movie.
It was above average.
It was above average. There was a lot of moments that were really good, some moments that were really bad. And we said during that movie, whatever that creator or those creators, those partners do again, we will go see. That was their feature-length debut. So they came out with this movie, Bring Her Back. It was on our list. We were super excited to go see it. And this is the reason why we make these promises. This is the reason why when we say that on those episodes, on these directorial debuts or feature-length debuts or things like that, because what we mean is we see the potential. We see like, man, these people did a really good job in a lot of these ways. We can tell that they know what they're doing and they're passionate and they're going to continue to improve. Like that's the only thing that can happen is to improve. Mm-hmm. This movie proves our point because this movie was phenomenal.
Yes, I agree. And it was better than I expected. And I was expecting it to be a step up just because the trailer was really good. And I was like, I remember thinking, God, those guys had so much promise and they did so much awesome shit and Talk to Me. And I was like, if they can just fine tune that, like they could make a really good, horror movie. Yeah. And this crosses that boundary of good horror movie to just good movie. And like, correct. That's what separates really, really good horror movies for me, stuff like Hereditary. And so, this was
stuff like that.
Yeah, this was incredible. I was blown away by this movie, like genuinely. I loved it.
Yeah, I was like you said, like I was surprised about how much I liked it, not because I wasn't expecting to, but because I was expecting to. Like that's more impressive. Like when you expect something that's going to be terrible and then it's okay and you're surprised by that. It's like, okay, that's a pleasant surprise, but I expected this to be good. And I was still surprised about how good it was. Yeah. So it's a very awesome feeling, coming out of a movie. This movie definitely takes a lot of what they did really well and Talk to Me and amplifies those. And it does take away some of the stuff that they didn't do very well. It was really, really like fine tuned. It was very honed in and it was very like, I think one of the best things about it was so story driven. And it wasn't horror driven. And that's like a really important thing is that, if you're going to make a movie that's really good, a good horror movie, you got to have a really good story with that. And I think that a lot of times that's one of the things we complain about. We're like, oh, well, they had this idea for this jump scare. Or they had this idea for this scary model or this, whatever. I remember us, having a lot of complaints about It Lives Inside, and it was like, I like those two movies we kind of saw around the same time, like Talk to Me and It Lives Inside. And yeah, I mean, this one is just like, it's so much of it is so understood by the filmmakers, if that makes sense. Like they understood what story they were trying to tell and how to tell it.
Yes. Yeah, it feels very, very realized. And they've just like feel so connected to. It's one of those, we've said this about other movies before, but not usually of this genre. So it's kind of interesting to say, but it's like, this is one of those things where it's like, oh, I can see like they had to make a movie out of this. It's like one of those movies that just had to be made. And so it feels very, very connected to them. And it's just such a step up from Talk to Me, and Talk to Me wasn't even, like we said, a bad movie. We thought it was above average already. So it's kind of wild how much of a leap that they took, and it's so cool that we were hoping and expecting that to happen, but they delivered tenfold. Like they really like outdid their own expectations, in my opinion. I have some bold statements to say about this movie. Like I really do. And I can't recommend it enough. I mean, you know, while we're still in spoiler free talk, it's like, there's not really any bad elements of this movie.
Yeah. Like I was already starting to think about like, oh, our least favorite part, you know, like what am I even going to say, man? Because
yeah.
And it's so funny too. Cause I coming out of the theater, I remember telling Dan, I was like, I feel so validated about our opinions on the Final Destination movie that we reviewed last week. Or the episode came out last week. We reviewed that movie.
We're keeping the illusion that we reviewed last week.
We reviewed it last week. But yes, so it's like after that we recorded that podcast, and then after we recorded it was when all these videos started coming out about how practical all the effects were and how they did all these effects practical. And we did say that we thought that they might have been practical, but they were CGI enhanced, and the CGI enhancements were what made the movie look like shit. This movie validated me so much because one of the best aspects of this movie is the gore, which is something we absolutely loved about Talk to Me. Because in that movie, they have that scene where, you know, the kid like smashes his face, and it was so brutal and it was so violent. And that's what I love about the gore in this movie is it's such violent gore, and it is so realistic. And not only that, but it's like, they do gore in this movie, and we'll get into more specifics in spoiler talk, but they could do gore in this movie that I've never seen before. And like one of our complaints, I remember complaining in the, you know, a Final Destination movie about the lawnmower to the head. I was like, yeah, I've seen lawnmower to the head a bunch. I mean, that shot's in Monkey. The Monkey has a shot of that, you know, and we've seen it in The Happening. We've seen it like a lot of movies have done the lawnmower on the head thing. There's gore in this movie that I'm like, I've never seen anyone do that. I don't know how they did it. They did it so unbelievably well. And all of the gore and the blood and the violence in this movie looks so fucking real and so like just perfect. Just so perfect.
Yeah.
Like to the point where I was like getting mad. I was like getting mad because I was like trying to find like where I can tell that it was a prosthetic.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. It was done so freaking, dude, it was like blowing my mind how good the gore was. And it's very haunting of this movie. Like a lot of the horror elements in this movie, like beyond the gore, I was telling Dan, I said, what's so impressive about them is that the horror elements, they creeped me out. Like it's not these jump scares. It's not, ooh, ah, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just these horror elements that just make me feel really uncomfortable. And it was something I kind of akin to like Parasite. Like a lot of the times in Parasite where the horror isn't like overt horror or traditional horror, it is horror that's just a moment or a sequence where you feel uncomfortable, like a person living in the walls type of uncomfortable. Yeah. Even though this movie's not about that or anything, I'm just saying like that's how it felt, you know, like a being watched type of feeling. And
something's not right.
Yes, something's not right. Something is uncomfortable. It's almost like whatever like Uncanny Valley, but for people's personalities. You know what I mean? Like, how Uncanny Valley is like, you know, it kind of looks like a human but you know, doesn't really look like it. It's like that. But instead of a look, it's like how people are acting. Like you're almost acting normal. It's slightly off. And because you're only slightly off from acting normal, it makes me feel even more uncomfortable. You know, because if you were just crazy, outright crazy, it's like, okay, well, that person's just outright crazy. But when they're just ever so slightly odd, it added so much to the eerie, suspenseful feelings that you have throughout the movie. So the horror elements, you know, with that just was done so fucking well, dude.
Yeah, it makes the audience just as on their toes, I guess, as the characters in the movie. And the evolution of this movie works so well because it has this perfect linear progression of starting off normal, getting a little weird, getting even crazier, and getting so batshit insane that you don't even know how the fuck you got here. And there is no cutting back and forth and stuff that sometimes fucks with the structure of a movie. It's so perfectly linear and realized as the story goes on. It's just fantastic. And you know, we haven't. Again, we're in spoiler-free talk, so all I can say is the ending was chef's kiss. Chef's kiss ending.
Yes.
And that is really hard to find in horror movies specifically. A good ending. Wow.
Yes.
So it's just... Everything is so well done. The music was really good. The performances were great.
Even the copyright music, I want to say, was
Yeah.
used and done really well.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I didn't
Because it
even
was
think about
all
that.
done in the world. They didn't do any copyright music as a soundtrack. They did it
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah, not like playing it as they drive to some. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. It's actually people listening to that song in the movie. But yeah, the acting was great. The cinematography was fantastic. Some really creative filmmaking and maybe some. We'll read into it. Obviously, some maybe symbolism in some of the shots and some of the choice, because the movie doesn't over explain anything to you as well, which is obviously something we really appreciate. So there's so much to chew on still, pun intended. That's kind of a spoiler.
Kind of a spoiler.
The way that we're talking about this movie is like how we feel, right? It's like, oh, it was so well shot. We haven't even mentioned this movie is so fucking brutal. It is brutal. It is horrifying. It is disgusting. It's visceral. It's batshit insane at times. So it sounds like we're talking about this drama, you know, but it is a horror movie. So it doesn't sell itself short by, you know, going too much into a specific genre. But, you know, it's also like I'll admit too, like I cried during this movie, like an actual full on cry, because it hit my emotional strings and I found so much stuff to actually attach to past just the visceral, brutal, awful horror elements that was real, emotional, well portrayed experiences by these characters.
And, you know, this is something I don't think that this is a spoiler, so I don't mind bringing this up. But this, you know, one of the major motifs of this movie is grief. And that's very common to see in horror movie. We talk about this all the time. But our biggest complaint is when movies are about grief, but they're not about grief. It's like, oh, this was a metaphor for grief, as opposed to just being about grief.
Yes.
You know, whereas this movie is just about grief, you know, and it's like very blatantly about grief. There's no hidden message in there, you know? Mm-hmm. And I absolutely loved that so much because like when you say like you cried to it, it's like, yeah, because you actually could connect to what was actually happening, not what you would have to read into it. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm like, Boogeyman wishes you cried at the end. Boogeyman wishes you saw the mom's dress burning up and cried. Yeah. Because it was finally letting go of her. That's what they wanted, but that was never going to happen. This movie actually makes you cry. You know what I'm saying? So like this movie was just so well done. One of the things I have to bring up is the child acting in this movie. Oh, yeah. Is so unbelievably good, guys. Like, I don't know what they're doing to these kids on set.
Clip that, take that out of context. I don't know what they're doing to these kids.
But it fucking scares me.
Yeah, they are too. You know, obviously Dave's referencing, you know, if you guys remember, if you guys have seen Talk to Me, but if you remember our review, there was also an incredible child actor performance in that movie as well.
And there's two main child actors that are a little bit younger, like somewhere between like 10 to 13, you know, whatever. And then there's like an older teenager kid, and all three of them were phenomenal in this movie. Phenomenal. And the horror character, who, you know, is probably the most recognizable one from the trailer, because I don't even remember seeing the other two kids in the trailer. But the one from the trailer actually, was so fucking good, bro. I was like, where did they find this little freak? Like, it was so good. Yeah. And I was just like, this is just such a testament to these directors. Like, they are able to get the best. Not only are they writing characters and they're writing it in a way where they can perform it. You know, it's like it's inconceivable that a child actor could do this. Whereas if they were writing like, you know, for a 15-year-old kid to be drunk, it's like, well, it's going to be hard for them to portray that, you know, because whatever. It's like, so they're writing in a way that it is performable by these kids, but then they're also giving that direction to make it as like surreal as possible, you know? So they just did a really, really good job with that. I think all of the acting in the movie is really good, but you know, because the main character too is like, so like, I guess it's the main character. I don't know. It's hard.
I would call her the main character. Yeah.
It's so hard because, you know, she's like, she's one of those characters where it's like you dislike her because she did such a good job.
Yes. I was getting very, you know, I've brought this up probably a lot of times on the pod if I were to remember correctly, but she gave one of those Guy Pearce and Lawless performances where, or, you know, for a better, more popular example, King Joffrey in, you know, Game of Thrones, where it's so effective that you are actually like, I think I would hate this woman if I met her in real life because I'm going to associate her with this character. And this is one of the most like, it's really one of the most unlikable characters. Like how do I phrase this? Like the time in which you are so on board with fucking hating this character is one of the fastest I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
I hated her so immediately.
Yeah.
And
like she showed her true colors in the first 5 seconds that she's on screen.
Yes. And if you know, a big theme of this movie is a big theme of this movie, especially for the situation and characters in it, is gaslighting to a certain extent, and just outright lying and facade, but it's really interesting the way that it's played out because. Sometimes it's lying, sometimes it's showing a certain face, sometimes it's setting things up to work in your favor ahead of time in a way, and sometimes it's not lying and it's telling you exactly what you think you're hearing. And it's, I don't know, I'm excited to talk more in spoiler talk. It's just really, really well done what they do with the certain story elements and how characters communicate.
Yes. But yeah, last thing I'll say before spoiler talk, I mean, you know, especially for our spoiler-free listeners, the ones who only stick around for spoiler-free talk, this is one of the best horror movies I have seen in the last 5 years. This is one of the best A24 horror movies they have ever done. I'm saying, like, in my opinion, probably top 3 A24 horror movies they've ever done. I'm not exaggerating. This is so fucking incredible. I highly, highly recommend everybody go see this movie.
Yes, I'll end mine as well with, I told you guys I'm going to say some bold shit on here. I walked out of that, not even walk out of the theater. The credits were rolling and I looked over at Dave and I said, that is my second favorite horror movie of all time. And I mean that. And it's honestly like, as far as like score or what I would, you know, how I would score it or whatever, I don't think it's like, it might not be a different score than Hereditary. It might be the same.
I feel you on that.
And
100%.
It's just, I know we're blowing this movie, but rightfully we are in my, you know, in my opinion. I think that it is my second favorite horror movie of all time, and only by an inch. I might have to rewatch both back to back and really make a decision because,
and even if you do not like horror movies, I don't think this movie is too scary for people who are scared of horror movies to go see. Mm-hmm. And if you're not like a really big fan of horror movies, there's still enough good story and good drama in the movie for you to get something out of it.
I agree.
So please go watch this one. Highly, highly recommend it. With that said, we're going to go ahead and get into spoiler talk so we can really blow this movie, you know, even more than we can in spoiler free.
Let's do it. Yeah, so, you know, we're getting close here, and there's going to be a spoiler alert. So, get ready.
Are you from Pittsburgh? Dude, I'm from freaking Australia, dude.
Oh, dude, you're from Australia, dude. Hey, me too.
Oi, crikey, I'm from Pittsburgh.
No, me too. That's what I was saying earlier.
Earlier?
Oh, speaking of earlier, everyone died.
Ah, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
I just went on the record for you guys who don't know. This movie is an Australian movie.
It's Australian.
So it's Talk to Me.
So there's a reason for us to have done that.
The movie is like made in association with like the Australian like film commission.
Yes. So And look,
So shout out Australia, aka Pittsburgh. And if you
Shout
don't
out.
get that reference, go listen to our Videodrome episode. It's one of the best bits in Wild Dream history.
it really is one of the best bits in Wild Dream history. Shout out to our buddy Mo. You know, it's one of the hardest accents to do. It's so fucking hard. And
It's funny because we started doing that because of how hard it is to do a Pittsburgh accent.
I know. All right.
Oh,
anyways.
Dave, Merv, water in the bridge, dude.
No, you're
Water
going
in the
downtown. Right? Downtown. All right, here we
Downtown,
go.
Dave.
Bringing Her Back is about a brother and sister who uncover a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother. Yeah, you just heard the synopsis. It's a very simple premise, but what you get out of it is just very bountiful, really.
So let's go through the rundown.
The rundown. Everyone knows a band with that one guitarist. All right, bro, we get it. It's been 7 minutes. Let me play again.
Yeah, you ever heard Freebird, brother? They fade out the end 'cause I don't think he was gonna stop.
Yeah, they were like, all right, enough. It is 7 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, it's time for the rundown. Let's get it going. What you got for me, Dave? Hit me.
We have the two, you could call them the main characters. You know, there's an argument for this other character, but
For sure.
Andy and Piper. Andy and Piper are step siblings, and Piper is blind. She has like 1% vision. She can see lights and shapes, is what she says. So, but she's mostly blind, and she and her brother come home one day to find that their father has died after slipping in a shower. I definitely think something more than just slipping and falling in the shower happened, because his face is all fucked up and has like pus and stuff coming out of it and all this stuff. And they didn't really explain it, but they did insinuate later in the movie that there was some foul play and stuff. It was very interesting. Okay.
It was a creepy line, too.
So these two characters are sent off to foster care, and originally they were going to get split up, but they decided, Andy was like, I'm turning 18 in 3 months. I'm going to file for guardianship to take care of Piper, because she needs a caretaker. You know, she's, like I said, she's blind, so she needs a caretaker, and he's been taking care of her, and that's his goal, right? Mm-hmm. The, social services is like, okay, fine. We found someone that really wants to take in Piper, but they don't really want Andy, but since you're really insistent, we'll talk to them and try and convince them. So they go and they meet Laura. Laura could also be considered the main character, since this is her story.
Yeah, it really is. Mm-hmm.
So what goes on for the rest of this movie, like Dan said, it's not like there's a lot of elements to it, but from just a strictly plot, thing, here's what happens. She has been completing some ritual that she found from some cult that she'd been watching on VHS that would allow her to create a demon angel creature that is capable of taking the soul of one person, a dead person's body, and putting it into another dead person. So her daughter died when she had drowned in the pool. And so she has kidnapped a child, forced him to become this demon angel thing so that he can consume the soul of her dead child. And she is going to drown Piper and force the soul into Piper's body. Mm-hmm. So throughout the movie, not only is she trying to get really close to Piper, really making Piper into Kathy, she's also trying to push Andy out of Piper's life by either getting him arrested, framing him for abusing her, and trying to make it seem like he is mentally unstable. She makes it seem like he's been wetting the bed, which is a sign of regression, which is a sign of not being in a good mental health space. Like, it's a really concerning thing for social workers, especially like working with troubled teens or, people with grief, if they notice that someone is wetting the bed again or starts wetting the bed randomly. Like, it's a huge, huge red flag. The movie ends at this huge climactic scene where the child that has been kidnapped is fully a demon angel creature thing now, right? And Laura is being confronted finally by Andy and another social worker, because he goes back to the social worker and is like, hey, I never hit my sister. I never harmed her. I'm not wetting the bed. I don't know what's going on. And he found this poster of a missing kid that is the kid that's been in the house the whole time, that she's been lying to them and saying, oh, his name is Ollie, he's my nephew or whatever. So they get to the house. Laura attacks them. She ends up killing both of them by hitting them with her car. And then she goes and she gets Piper, who she left at some facility for people who are blind to do activities and whatnot. And She takes her home, and right when she's starting to drown her, Piper is able to fight her off and is able to run away, and she gets safe. And she's also already, Piper had found Andy's dead body in the house as well. So she's like extra afraid, freaking out. And then she attacks this demon angel thing that is still carrying the soul of her, of Laura's dead daughter's, whatever, her spirit, I think is what she called it. I don't think she called it a soul in the movie. Sorry. And that creature is getting some cognizance back to them. And they are seeing that they can exit this like white circle that she has around her house. That's part of the ritual. And they're able to walk out of the circle. It's very painful for them. But then when the police show up, he's able to remember his name and tells them what his name is. And so it seems like Laura's going to get arrested and, Piper's going to be fine. But Andy is now dead. And Connor, which is the actual name of the kid, whose name is Ollie, the entire movie, is going to be fine. And the ending shot, of this movie is a shot of Laura holding her dead daughter's corpse with her while floating sideways in a pool as they slowly back out of the shot over an overhead crane shot. Guys, this ending shot was so fucking good. It was one of the best ending shots I have ever seen. Mm-hmm. It was incredibly haunting. And to be this culmination of this story of this woman who has just completely gone fucking crazy. It's funny because she's gone completely crazy, but she also knows exactly what she's doing. She's very meticulous. She's very manipulative, exactly like what you said, like the gaslighting. She's very...
Oh, it's infuriating. She's like infuriating to watch.
Because she's so good at this manipulation. Yep. So, when we say like this movie is about grief, it's like, no, it is literally about this woman's grief. It's not like a metaphor for her grief. She's literally like, I'm grieving over my dead daughter. I'm trying to bring her back. Through this thing. And so she doesn't care who she has to harm to do it. So it was a very, very haunting and scary movie. So yeah, let's get into some of the details. So that's the rundown. Like that's what happens in the movie. That's what the movie's about. But let's get into some details about why we really love this one.
Yeah. One of the best problems to have is to think where to start with what was so good. Because that's really where I'm at right now. I mean, again, this is not news to any listeners, but we just left the theater. We are here. We're recording immediately, but I'm so lost in this movie still. I'm still in the glow of it. And so it's hard to, as much as I'm excited to talk about it, it's just like, gosh, I'm still like in that wake of it. Yeah. But something that just because we were just talking about the final shot, something I really appreciated about it is that it kind of gets even more solidified as they were backing out and the shot starts to gets wider in frame and you can see more and more was happening. It goes from her holding the dead, now melting corpse of her daughter in this moment of solitude to now there's flashlights getting pointed at them in the pool, and then another one, and then another one. And as the more that the shot backs out, the more that you see that there's like full on tactical gear police officers and SWAT team encroaching, and nothing changes about their position. She is like, she's so in this moment that her expression, she doesn't flinch. She doesn't even fucking move a finger. It is just her holding, and it's just horrific because it's similar to not only the performance that we were talking about in Talk to Me. It's like, man, they got a really good performance out of that kid. And then they got a really good performance out of this kid too. But both characters as well, Ollie and the one from the Talk to Me, they also do a lot of prosthetics and changes to their appearance that are fucking horrific. And what they did with this Kathy's body was also really jarring. What they do with her body is just so incredible because it actually looks like a dead corpse.
Yes.
It's so realistic. It's freaky, man.
Yeah,
freaky.
There are a lot of shots in this movie that I won't be able to get out of my head. And like when you talk about like comparing this movie to Hereditary, not in terms of like, I mean, obviously they're both about grief and people going to extreme ends of paranormal to deal with their grief. So I do think there's a lot of similarities in those, movies that it's fair to kind of compare them. But like in this one, Just like in Hereditary, there are shots in Hereditary that I will never ever get out of my head. You know, the sister's head on the fucking ground with the ants and shit crawling all over it, and the mom cutting her head off with the fucking piano wire. Like, there's shots in this movie that will never be able to get out of my head. And I can't wait to tell you guys about the number one for me. As this kid who is being turned into some demon angel thing, like throughout the movie, he's acting like a real fucking weirdo. Like, he's completely mute. He stares at stuff, and it looks like every time he grabs an animal, he's trying to kill it or eat it or whatever. When he's like fully turning into a demon, they say that he's really hungry. And he starts to eat like everything in the house, you know, everything that he can find his hands on. And then eventually he looks at his arm and bites a fucking chunk out of it. And then, so that part is like jarring. And then he bites into it again and starts to peel his skin and flesh out of his fucking body. Like all the way up his forearm, just skin. Like, it looked like fucking skin spaghetti, guys. Like, it was like, It looked like a fucking pappardelle noodle.
This guy knows his pasta.
What can I say? Hey, I'm a fat fuck. You better believe it.
What the hell? Oh my God, no way.
Like, I'm telling you guys, when I saw this in the theater, I put my hands over my mouth in shock and just stared at the screen with my eyes fucking bulging out of my head. Like, I have never seen anyone do this in a movie before. I have never seen gore done like this. And it was like, when I talk about validating from what the shit that we saw in Final Destination, it looked so fucking real. And I was like, and this kid actor looks like a fucking monster.
Yeah.
Like, he looks like the way that his just dead eyes, bro, and his just lack of any expression as he chews, and just like no flinching, no nothing, and he just chewing fucking meat out of his own arm and rips his skin like a big chunk of skin peeling up the side of his arm. Guys, you have to go fucking see this movie. I'm like, I want to cry right now. Just think, I'm like, it was so fucking haunting. Like, I will never get that shot out of my head. Mm-hmm. Like, that is going to live there forever. And I've never seen anything like this.
Deli noodle. That's it's a really accurate description.
Like, it was so good that part of me was like, what is he actually eating? Because this kid doesn't seem to be bothered by this at all.
Yeah. Man.
And the blood just starts pulling out of his mouth as he's like, he does that. And I say like pasta because then he's like, yeah, and he starts to like lap it up into his mouth.
Yeah.
Like you would a fucking pasta noodle. Guys. And that's not even the last thing he does. And then he's still so hungry. He does another thing. I have never seen this before. I've never seen this specifically done before. And when I saw it, my brain went to like 1,000 miles an hour. And I was like, how did they get this shot? He goes up to the side of an island, like a kitchen island, and bites the edge of it, the wood, and just bites it so hard his teeth start to crack peel. Yeah. And like, it's like they're not falling out of his mouth, but they're cracking and like being shoved back up into his mouth. At
getting loosened.
And he just bites down on it and then starts chewing on the wood, guys.
Just chewing on wood chips that he just created by biting out of the wooden table.
And if that isn't bad enough, he goes back for seconds.
Yeah. He keeps eating.
He keeps eating the table.
Yeah.
I was just like, what the fuck is happening? What is happening?
This movie really, really goes there. And I just love shit like this. They go there, man. They fucking go there. And I love I love movies like this or TV like this, whatever. I love projects where no one is safe. There is no, it's a kid. They're not gonna. It's like, no, these motherfuckers love hurting kids, bro.
For real.
In both of
and you can take that out of context.
But yeah, I don't know. It's crazy, like, where this movie goes. And I think that, like, it's something that they do really well with how they tell the story is by giving you, the audience, more information than the characters have. Until obviously they eventually find out and start so that they can start reacting. But they give us more information first, and it makes everything so much fucking scarier. It just does. Yeah. You are so worried for what is going to happen to everyone in this house. And Something as simple as, Dave mentioned earlier that one of the things that she's doing to gaslight this kid is making him think that he's starting to piss himself every night. They have a shot of her kind of going up to him, messing with him and going, you asleep? You asleep? Hey, you asleep? Hello? Okay.
Yeah.
Then she goes to her bathroom. She takes off her underwear. She pisses into a fucking cup, walks into his room, throws the piss all over his crotch area so that when he wakes up, he thinks he pissed himself. And then she grabs his...
He's trying to do his own laundry.
Yeah, remember when she grabs his eyes and opens them to unlock his phone and shit. So it's just like every single thing in this house, in this circle that is drawn around the house really, is completely in her control. Yes. And when the person who has the reins is clearly a fucking lunatic, the suspense is dreadful. Dreadful.
Yeah. And so like when you talk about the gaslighting being so infuriating, like what I was saying, he wakes up the next morning, he goes to go do his own laundry, and she's just standing in front of the laundry machine with Piper there. And he's like, I'll come back later. She's like, no, give me your stuff. And then she grabs it and she goes, wait, hold on. Is this piss?
And he goes, that's got nothing to do with piss. It's a calico cut pants. It's got nothing to do with piss.
I didn't do fucking shit.
Don't believe me? Go to calicocutpants.com. It's got nothing to do with piss. It comes like that. It's
comes
design.
Like that. It's how it's designed. It's got nothing to do with piss.
You gotta give.
You gotta give. But yeah, so it's just like that level of gaslighting. Like she fucking immediately, she knows that there's piss on it because it's her fucking piss.
Fucking
oh my God, bro. And just for her to be like, this is not good, this is a big problem. Like, dude, she's so fucking wrong for this, bro. Oh, the scene of him being at his father's fucking funeral and her forcing him to kiss his dad on the head before he leaves.
God, yeah.
Just making me so uncomfortable, bro. Like, she's so controlling and so manipulative. Like, it's just like, she's such a freak, bro. She's such a fucking freak. And it bothered me. Like, anyways,
she's too good at acting. She's too good at acting. Yeah.
And one of the things that like we talked about, like the exposition in this movie is actually really good, even though a lot of it's given through dialogue. But it has to be given through dialogue because it's a character who is repressing something, right? Mm-hmm. So throughout the movie, you start to see these scenes of the main character, and he's trying to take a shower, but he just sits like on the toilet while the shower is running, and he doesn't get in. And then eventually he's like, I literally am like covered in piss from last night. I need to go wash myself. And he washes himself on a spigot in the backyard. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, is he that traumatized by seeing his dead father outside of a shower? And then later he tells the story to her because she's a counselor, by the way. As she's like doing this like therapy session with him or whatever, in a way, it's like this impromptu session. And he explains to her that his dad used to beat him, that his dad used to take him into the bathroom and turn on the shower so that Piper couldn't hear, and he would beat him. And he said he would hit me so hard I would wake up on the floor hours later and not know where I was. Mm-hmm. Like, that's how bad he used to beat me. And then it just recontextualizes all of these scenes of the shower. It's like he has so much trauma there, And it's just like, it's like, even though that piece of dialogue or that piece of exposition is given through dialogue, it then creates extra meaning to scenes that were shown that have no dialogue. All these shots, because at first you're like, well, what's the point of all these shots? We get it. He saw his dead dad. Like, why do we have to keep showing him in front of the shower? And now you understand why. It's like he is so traumatized by the shower. He actually is going through a lot more than what he is showing on the surface. Mm-hmm. And one of the hardest parts for him grieving is like, like I said, this whole movie is about grief, right? So Piper is grieving her father, and one of the hardest things for him is he wants to be there for his sister, but he can't tell her, I'm not sad because dad's dead. I'm sad because you and everyone else keeps talking about him like he was an awesome guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he fucking wasn't to me. And he's like, I don't want to ruin that for you. And
exactly. He doesn't want to ruin that illusion for Piper. Yeah. She has this beautiful picture of her dad in her head, and he doesn't want to. He's like, hey, I already took the brunt of what I'm going to get. Like, what good does it do now anyways?
Exactly.
Like, I really empathize with him.
And so, there's this scene where he's like on his way back. He's trying to save her. He's on his way back with the social worker, and he's leaving her this voicemail. And the voice, it just made me cry. It made me cry because he's like explaining, he's like, yes, like dad was bad. He was really fucking bad. He's like, but I never wanted you to see him that way because I wanted you to have a better life. I wanted you to be better. He's like, but that was wrong because I shouldn't have lied to you. And when I see you again, I'm never going to lie to you again. And I need you to know that I did not hit you. Because the thing is, he says that when Piper was a child, like a baby, he hit her. Like when he was 8 years old and she was like just born, he hit her. You know, I'm assuming it was bad enough that, you know, he ends up, it's like in his permanent record that he was a violent child or, you know, or something. And it's just like, man, like he's trying to break this cycle. And so the fact that this character, Laura, hits Piper while wearing his body spray so that Piper knows that somebody punched her in the face in her sleep and all she smelt was his body spray. And now Piper thinks that he hit her. It's like, God, that's so heartbreaking. Like this kid's like, I would never hurt you. I would never do to you what dad did to us. And this thing that I did when I was 8 years old has haunted me since that day. And so it's just like, it made me so emotional, dude. And like again, it's like, this is a fucking horror movie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you guys are hearing all this stuff. This is a horror movie.
It's a horror movie. Yeah.
And I was just like, I was crying, bro. I was like, when he started crying on that fucking voicemail, dude, I lost it. Yeah. Because I was just like, God damn, bro. Like this is the hardest thing. And like to know, like my biggest pet peeve is when I tell someone the truth and they don't believe me. Like it makes me want to rip my hair out of my head. It's so infuriating. And that's why like it just triggered that for me. It was like this combination of like feeling for him and knowing like what he's been through and how he can't even deal with his own grief because he can't seek out the help that he needs without knowing that it's going to harm his sister, knowing that her dad is the reason he needs therapy.
Yeah, and he can't retaliate with anything because then they'll kick him out. So he can't. Yeah, it's again.
Like you can tell he wants to beat the shit out of Laura,
right?
Because he knows that she hit his sister. So. But he also knows he fucking can't.
If he does, then it's actually worse off. Like he's in this. When I say the movie is infuriating, I'm using that word very carefully. It is infuriating. You said like earlier that there were moments in the movie that were so violent or visceral that you were mouth agape. You know, like oh my God, and I had that same thing, but not even from horror elements. From moments like this, just pure like I can't believe they're going here. I can't believe they're putting these characters in these situations. It just had my heart racing, dude. My heart was racing this whole movie. Like almost the entire once they set it up and the moment they meet her, I was like, dude, what is happening? And I was shocked for it's funny because our whole mission here is because there's some really cool stuff that they do in the movie. Before we get too far, like you mentioned him leaving the voicemail. Something we haven't mentioned is that they have a code word. They say grapefruit.
That means you have to be honest.
You have to be honest. How do we know that? Because every time they say that, they then tell the truth. Not because they go, yeah, well, they never explain it. There's no dial. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I loved that. Yeah. Thank you. You know, that like movies need to do that more.
Yeah.
Like I got it. I figured it out. When they say grapefruit, it means, hey, tell the truth. It creates a level of realism to it. It's like, oh, they have like a little insider. It's like, dude, I don't need to, I'm glad that they don't do that.
But yeah, I think that everything they do to build up their relationship was done really well. Like I really did believe that this kid like cared about her so much,
Yeah. But because they tell the story in a lot of interesting ways too. Like something as simple as when they first meet Laura, one of the things that at the time, because she's brand new and we're just now getting introduced to this character, one of the things that is like, what? You're this crazy ass lady is she tells Piper to pet her dog. The dog is taxidermied.
Yep.
And so
which is also foreshadowing for
exactly.
Yeah.
That is a story element. It is that they are telling you from the moment you meet her before you find anything out, this is what she's doing. She wants to keep those that have died alive, and she'll do anything for it, as fucking creepy and weird and freaky as it is, because she does the same shit. She tries to get her to pet the dog when they first meet, this dead taxidermy dog who a lot is used in a way that is really creepy and like uncanny valley kind of, and then sometimes used for humor.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've mentioned that, but this movie is actually funny, legitimately funny for a couple of times.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't say it's a funny movie, but it has good jokes.
Exactly. There are some jokes that just out of nowhere just really hit. But
yeah, like when they first meet her and she takes a picture with them, she's like, guys, we should all get a picture. And she intentionally stands in front of Andy. So he's completely left out of the picture.
Which is also foreshadowing.
It's foreshadowing, but it's also like genuinely funny.
Funny,
it's like, we
yeah.
get it. She does not want him here.
And that just makes it so much more satisfying and rewarding when way later down the movie, when shit is hitting the fucking fan, she says, Piper, come here. I want to show you something. And she's doing the exact same thing that she tried to get her to do with the dog by making her feel the frozen dead corpse of her daughter. The exact same scene, just with a different, and you're like, oh my God, it's all been here in front of our eyes since the moment, you know what I mean? But it's subtle enough that it's not, it just makes, it's good filmmaking, man. It's fucking good. Man.
It really is. There was so much care put into it.
Yes.
There's so much care put into all of the characters' decisions where
fantastic.
Even if there are times in the movie that you feel like, oh, this movie's kind of dragging, they like exactly like what I was saying, like with the shower scenes. Like if you thought that there was a moment in the movie that was like dragging and you were like, what's the point of this? They later add context to those scenes that make them more uncomfortable and make like the rewatchability of this movie is so great because it feels like the kind of movie you're going to watch, 5 times and see more red flags and more red flags and more, foreshadowing and more like, it's just like they did all these things so well that they just go back and they add this context where the movie is an hour 44. And it's like, we always say anything over, an hour and a half is pushing it.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would cut anything from this movie. Like that's how, like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's how well it was made. And so, one of the things that we also have to talk about, the cinematography, like the shot composition, I should say specifically, is very ambitious. There's a lot of normal shots in this movie, but there's a lot of really good fucked up shots. And again, like akin to Hereditary, and even like, Talk to Me has some really good cinematography as well.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, one of my favorite shots in this movie is this rear view mirror shot. And I think that there is some additional stuff. I kind of want to talk about it in part 2 in case I'm wrong. But there was some symbolism that I was reading into the fact that that Andy, his car has the left side mirror is broken. And at the beginning of the movie, he's trying to tape it on. And then later in the movie, it completely falls off of his car as he's like running away. When he comes back with the social worker and they're trying to run away because the social worker actually sees Ollie as a full demon creature eating the face of the corpse of Laura's daughter. Like, in case you want to know how this movie is, that's a sentence. That's a sentence that exists in this movie.
And it's not the only face-eating scene, so there you go.
The social worker watches the demon boy eat the face of this corpse.
And I cried.
And I fucking cried.
I cried.
So,
and laughed.
As they're running away, Laura hits them with their car, which, by the way, Final Destination Bloodlines could never. When I say I have no idea how they did this, I have no idea how they did this. It looked like 2 people got hit by a fucking car.
Yep.
I don't know if they were dummies. I don't know if they were stunt actors. I don't know if the car wasn't even there and they just arched their backs and put it in. I don't know. But I'll tell you what it fucking looked like. It looked like 2 people got hit by a fucking car.
Yeah, it looked like.
And the sound design.
Yes, the sound design was what really sold that car crash, man.
So fucking good.
Yeah.
So good, guys. The sound design of everything in this movie is phenomenal. But the impact of that car, I felt it. I felt my back go, oh! Like it was that level. And they have this shot, these 2 beautiful shots back to back. The first is Andy laying in the road. He's almost completely paralyzed, and his side of his face, he's laying with his head turned to the side, and half of his face is in a puddle of water in just like a small pothole on the ground.
It's raining furiously.
And Laura comes up to him and just slowly turns his head into the water and then puts all of her force down onto his head. And it's just her hands. You just see her hands and this like fucking iridescent nail polish that she wears, which is like really uncomfortable. Like looks like shit, but it's like, it's not like peeling off, but it just looks bad. Like everything about this character creeps me out.
Yeah.
And then we get this other shot of his broken rear view mirror, or his broken left side mirror, reflecting in a broken glass, her killing him And I was just like, oh my God, this is such good filmmaking.
Visual storytelling,
This is
man.
such good filmmaking. Oh my gosh, guys. I'm really blowing it, but I'm telling you, like when I was watching it, I was in awe.
Yeah.
I was jealous. I was like, it's so easy to have bad like shot composition. And it's so hard to have good composition. It is something you have to try to do.
Yeah.
And they went for it. And they did some ambitious things that could have looked like shit. You know, they have this shot of Ollie as he's outside and he's about to like kill a chicken or something. And he's already going crazy. He's bitten Laura.
the most normal thing he wants to eat.
True.
A live chicken.
Yeah, I probably should have mentioned that. They're actual live chickens. He's not just trying to eat some chicken. We're all trying to eat some chicken.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, by the time he's picked up a chicken, you're like, dude, thank God. Finally, he's going to eat just a live chicken.
Because he's already taken a chunk out of Laura's fucking arm, like right next to her veins. And she goes up to the window, and it seems like these things are like controlled by circles. I don't know what, they don't explain it, which they didn't have to. I understood these things are controlled and manipulated by being enclosed around somebody, drawing a circle around them.
Yep.
That's all I needed to know.
Circle's a big motif of the cult. There you go.
Yep. She takes her fucking bloody wrist, squeezes it to drain blood onto her hand, and she slaps it on the window while Ollie is outside and she's inside, and she draws a circle on it, and the camera follows her hand.
Oh yeah, that was such a cool shot.
And then she stops like halfway, and the camera stops halfway and tilts in the same orientation of her hand, so that the hand is upright. So if her hand is slightly turned, the camera is slightly turned, and it just follows her hand. And it's just like, you know how easily the shot could have looked like stupid, but it doesn't. It doesn't. It looks really fucking cool. And it looks really good. And it's like, they could have done this on a fucking tripod, but they chose not to.
Yeah.
It is a testament to their like ability as filmmakers to be willing to push the boundaries, to be like, hey, let's not, for the next 30 minutes of this movie, let's not let there be a single boring shot. That's no fucking tripods for the next 30 minutes of this movie. And that's exactly what they did. There was not a single moment where I was unengaged or uninterested in what I was being shown on screen.
Yes. Yeah. It was. I love that scene too, because the music swells during that scene, and there's this over it like really on. This shot is very interesting too. It's the same sequence. She is now fully closed that gap. She has gotten full contact with Ollie again. He's no longer wild, and she's did it through drawing the circles in blood. And there's a shot from above her looking down, like straight down to her, where you can see her in the bottom of the frame and you can see Ollie in the top of the frame. And anytime she moves her head or looks up, he also does. It's like they're completely mirrored.
Yes.
And there's this creepy sound, I was just like, God, this, bro, Simina.
Simina.
This is one of the most Simina deserving movies ever. Because it's shit like that. There's a. I want to mention too. We talked about some of the brutal scenes and this and that. I also really wanted to mention there's a scene where Laura leaves with Piper, and so now it's just Andy and Ollie. Andy's like, I think Andy's actually feeling pretty bad for this kid, because he's like,
Andy is a good big brother.
He is a good big brother, and he's like, I feel bad. He called this kid weird earlier, but I think the more that he spends time with him, he's like, dude, what is this guy's problem? Yeah. And I think that I
think he felt guilty for even saying that.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think that he probably does suspect a little bit of foul play. I think that he wants to get more info through Ollie, but he can't because he's mute, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But anyways, he brings him down to the kitchen. He breaks him out, out of a room he wasn't supposed to break into. And he comes down and he sits at the table and he's trying to ask him to talk to him. And then he's like, hey, are you hungry? Do you want something to eat? And so he's like, look, if you want some of this melon, it's not going to be free. Like, you got to talk to me. So he does say talk.
He does say talk to me. He looks at the camera and he says, talk to me. And then we get a freeze frame vignette.
Imagine. But yeah, it's like he's trying to get some. So he says, hey, like, here's a pen and here's a pad of paper. How about you just write, since you can't talk? Like, let's communicate. And he cuts off a slice of the melon and he puts it on the tip of the knife that he cut it with, and he kind of hands it knife knife blade forward to Ollie
with fruit on the end of it.
And already I start cringing because Ollie grabs the entire knife with his hand.
Which we've seen Ollie hurt himself earlier in the movie. He shatters a window to escape and like just gashes his hand open and feels no pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we know that obviously we know something's wrong with him, but we know what lengths he'll go and just ignore pain. So it's really crazy. So he grabs it, which I was expecting. I was like, oh God, he's going to grab it by the blade. And he does it. And of course the sound design is incredible.
And Andy's starting to freak out. He's like, let me get you a plate.
Yeah, Andy's like, holy shit. So he's like, here, oh my God, just grab the fruit, brother. Like, not that, he's like, holy shit, this kid's crazy. He's like, let me get you a plate. So he's freaking out a little bit. He turns around, he bends down, and you start to hear the grinding of teeth on a knife. And you
hear that, like,
yeah.
You're like, oh shit.
Like that kind of metallic, and you turn around and he is gnawing on the knife blade.
And as he's gnawing on the knife blade, it's cutting through his teeth, ripping them out and stabbing into his gums. As he's like chewing on the edge, like
and his lip.
The knife is vertical. The knife is vertical in his mouth and just chewing on it. And then fucking Andy's like, let me get that. He's like, no. And he grabs it from him. And then he's like, he grabs his fake name, Ollie. Ollie grabs the fucking blade and starts shoving it back into his mouth and just slicing up his mouth and his gums. Guys, it was so... Fuck Final Destination Bloodlines. Fuck Final Destination Bloodlines for any fucking frame that was CGI.
I told y'all. But yeah, no, it was unbelievably horrifying. And it's, again, you talked about, we just want to see new shit in movies like this, like a little bit more creative ideas of gore and violence. And this was one of them. I was like, this guy is chewing on a knife blade. And obviously... Andy is trying to get this out of his mouth. So to do that, he has to remove the knife that is lodged within his gums and lip. So he pulls the knife out and it's like slicing. I'm like,
and Connor's
oh my God.
Ollie's like biting down harder.
Yes, dude. And it was
He's biting down harder.
And now this is what...
Now, to give some context too, to why I keep saying his name wrong, is after this whole scene, he's like freaking out, whatever.
Loved this information, the way they gave this.
Yes. So he starts freaking out. He's like, I got to take you to the hospital. He runs outside and then he forces Ollie to go past the white line that's circled around the entire house. Mm-hmm. And he just starts screaming bloody murder and whatever. And then of course Laura shows up right then. It's a whole thing. But then it cuts
and Ollie finally talks. What are the two words he says?
Help me.
Help me. Terrifying.
Ollie finally speaks for the first time and says, help me.
Terrifying.
And I feel so bad for Andy too, because he's just like, he's being gaslit this whole time. And it's so, anyways, they cut back to where this all happened in the kitchen. And on the piece of paper that he gave him, the only word he wrote was the word bird.
Yep.
And everybody in the theater was like, bird? Mm-hmm. The fuck is that?
To the point where like, I was thinking about it for the rest of the movie until it came into play. Yeah. I was like, what? I'm looking for birds. I'm like, dude, what?
Yeah, I'm
what
like,
the fuck do you mean?
A bird, or is there a bird in the house that's taxidermied that that there's a note on or something?
Because it comes into play way later.
And then guess what it was? His legal name, his actual name is Connor Bird.
Yep.
So he was giving him his name. So it's like Connor, Ollie's actual name.
The body.
You know what I'm saying? The person who was kidnapped, the little kid that was kidnapped, his name is Connor Bird. He's still in there.
Yeah. There is some semblance of actual...
And when you realize that, it makes it even harder to see him go all full demon mode, because you have now... It's like, I think of like that scene in Community where he's like, I can take this pencil, say its name is, Jeff, and then snap it, or Steve. I think he says his name is Jeff. But you know what I'm saying? He says, Steve, snap it, and a piece of you dies, because humans can empathize with anything. And it's like the fact that you showed me that this kid is still in there, and then you make me watch him cannibalize himself. It's fucking... God, it was so fucking good.
So good. I mean, when we get to the end of the movie, there's so many characters that reach this emotional catharsis. And like his story was one of the ones that hit me the hardest, man, because it's just horrific what has happened to this kid, because at the end of the movie, he crosses that line that keeps him in that demon form. And he's like, hello, my name's Connor Bird, blah, blah, blah. Starts like, he's talking, and you have to it's just this moment where, as an audience member, your mind starts getting flooded with like, holy shit. Can you imagine what the last memory this kid has is? And he is now waking up shaking in a forest in the middle of nowhere, covered in blood with his lips split in half.
And, and the saddest part is part of me thinks...
abuse, man.
Part of me thinks he was inside of that demon's head watching himself do this stuff. Like, that's
So
what
maybe he
scares me.
has the
Like, he has all of these memories. His consciousness was still in there the whole time. Like, that's what's going through my head.
That's awful.
I'm thinking this kid was in there the whole time. He wrote his fucking name.
That's true.
He wrote his name, bro.
It's just awful.
Like, it makes me want to cry, like, what she's done to this kid.
Yeah.
And when you see, like, the videos that she's watching, too, which, by the way, one of the best things they did in the movie were these
VHS tapes. Thank you for mentioning that.
The VHS tapes that she's watching of people doing this ritual were fucking incredible. Like, it looks like something out of VHS, ironically, you know, but even better, obviously. And, like, she's watching these old VHSs that look like, you know, snuff films that are just like people doing this ritual, and it's people turning into these crazy demon monsters, and they are eating other people and just taking chunks out of their brain. Ugh. They have these shots of them just having people in circles and then putting ropes around their necks and just yanking on them. And so they're like on their knees, but in the air. So like, it's just like all these insane visuals. And to think that this woman watched these and went, "Ooh, I could do that."
Yeah.
That just adds, like, her watching them intently, like she's watching a fucking YouTube how-to DIY fucking mason jar cookies or some shit, and she's watching this. It was, oh my God. But yeah, it was just, those videos were they were done so well, dude. Like, they just looked so haunting, and they added so much context to her psychosis.
Yeah, there's like interesting stuff they did with it too. Remember how before the movie actually started, there was like a little cut of the VHS tape that said, "This is not a cult"?
Yeah, but it seemed like that was like the name of one of the production companies.
I think it was just playing one of these clips, and then all of a sudden it said "So-and-so Pictures presents." And, you know, I was like, wait, what the fuck was that? Like, it was really unnerving.
It makes me wonder if there's a production company they worked with called This Is Not a Cult, where they made those VHS
tapes. Maybe we could look it up. Part 2. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. And then, of course,
traditional part 2. We don't do those
traditional
anymore.
part 2. Oh my God, we're going to fulfill the prophecy. But yeah, the something that I love too is that you then get context to the comically fat man in those VHS tapes, which is that he was harnessing a soul. Yeah, that's why he was pregnant essentially with a soul that he was about to feed to another dead body. So, and then. Okay, about the VHS tapes, again, they're really odd. They're VHS tapes, so the quality's not great. But were they showing Laura getting resurrected?
It seemed like...
Was that her?
It seemed like they were, but I think that it was just part of her psychosis. I think it was like her seeing herself in these videos in a certain way.
I don't know, yeah. I'd be curious if there's some takes on that in part 2. Maybe
but it could also just be, you know, we just saw it wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell. But yeah, the scene of the ritual taking place and this woman eating the face off of a body in the VHS tapes was brutal. The graininess and like black and white kind of cinematography of it actually made it just so... you know, I've said this before, and I don't know if I've ever explained it, but I say, like, it feels like I'm watching something I'm not supposed to. When I say that, I'm saying this feels like it's actually real. It feels like this is a snuff film. It feels like I think I said it too about The Godfather, about how good Marlon Brando's acting was when he finds out his son died. And I said, it feels like I'm watching something I'm not supposed to. I say that saying it feels like someone actually pulled out their phone and started recording a man grieving his son who was not aware he was being filmed. It was like, so it's like one of those, like they did such a good job with the VHS tapes that I was like, oh my God, this shit is cursed. This shit is fucking cursed, dude.
Yeah.
And oh my God, can I mention too?
Of course.
The scariest part of the movie, like the part that shook me to my core, scared the fuck out of me, was the scene of Laura giving Ollie a bath. It was the first time that you see him evolve from weird bloodthirsty kid to full-on demon, literally, because it was so scary because of the way they shot it, but also just it's a scary thing in general. But
yeah, it was one of the best things I saw in the trailer.
Yeah. So she's giving him a bath, and she's talking to him. She's going, "How am I supposed to know that you're in there if you don't fucking talk to me?" Wait a minute, talk to me. And he looks right at her with these piercing eyes. I mean, I'm already on edge. I'm like, oh my God.
This kid is a little freak too. He looks scary.
He's terrifying. And then he looks directly at her, and then you hear whoosh, real loud, fast in the back. And it's the sink turning on, sink water just rushing. And she gets up, and it's scalding hot water. So she gets up to go over to it and check it out, because she's like, wait, I think he's communicating with me. Or whoever's in there is communicating.
Yeah, the demon is communicating.
Yeah. And because the water is so scalding hot, the entire bathroom gets really, really steamy, so you can barely see. But she turns around and looks at him, and his head is tilted back, and he's looking up, and he's kind of... and his eyes are just... turning red, like red. But then and
like a little bit of yellow, like a pussy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't even, you're right. Cause like if you say red eyes, that doesn't really explain it well enough, but the way that they made this kid look, it was just unbelievably good.
It looked like a bunch of blood vessels popped in his eyes and then got infected.
Yeah.
Like that's what
it's
it looked
gnarly. And she's looking at him now through the mirror. And when right before the mirror breaks, he's in full demon form.
Yes.
For a split second, you can see it's no longer
full
Ollie.
demon. Yeah.
It is like it's honestly hard to say what it was, because it was such a quick shot, but that's what made it so terrifying. Because they didn't show the full form, they hinted at it. And for a split second, you see it. Like maybe some antlers, I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
But it freaked me the fuck out, dude. It freaked me. That's one of the shots I'm going to remember the most. I was just like... that was so terrifying, the way that they just went from 0 to 100 and had the mirror break to where it just rips it right away from you as soon as you think you're about to get a peek at it. And it creates this mystique about what the fuck is the actual or final form of what is inside of this kid, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's so
And the fact that they never
scary.
show it is so good too. It's like, don't show the monster.
Yes.
Don't show the monster.
Yes.
You know who the monster is? It's Laura.
It is Laura.
She's the monster.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that made me feel so bad for this kid by the end of the movie, is because he's been feared this whole time. He has been, quote unquote, the one who's
everyone
the predator.
avoids.
Yeah, he's the reason this shit's happening. He's the evil person. Like, no, he's just a kid. There's just something in him that
Yeah.
I felt so bad for that kid, man. Yes. Fuck Laura.
Yeah.
All my homies hate Laura.
But yeah.
Yeah.
God, man. So much to love about this movie.
It was great.
Highly recommend it. My favorite part of the movie, I think, is really hard to choose. If I had to choose one element, I would say it would be the gore, because of how memorable it is and how unique it was. But you guys heard everything. So we said, this is phenomenal. My least favorite part of this movie, I mean, honestly, it's hard to say, because so much of it was so good. There's this one, God, man, because there's a scene of Andy when he finally takes a shower in a shower, and he sees his dad, and then his dad tells him, like, she's gonna die in the rain, is what he says about Piper. I guess that could be my least favorite part of the movie, but I don't know. I still liked it. My least favorite part of the movie is something I still liked. That's how good this movie was. Mm-hmm. So if that means anything to you guys.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of the movie is their brutality and suspense. The way that they play with you as the audience by just
the dramatic irony,
making you so scared for anyone in her control, while also showing that she has full control. That's a terrifying concept, and they go to such great lengths with it that it is terrifying. We didn't mention too, like, she goes to visit Andy in the hospital, and she says, are you crying? You saw your dad? Or she's like kind of asking him like what happened. And she says, you saw your dad like in the shower, like after I killed him?
Yeah.
She says that and he goes, what? And she goes, you saw your dad in the shower after he fell? And I was like, what the fuck? Did she kill him?
Yeah,
like,
it literally made it seem like, she found a little blind girl that she was like, this girl would be perfect. Let me kill her dad so that they have to go into foster system, and then I'll immediately snatch her up.
What the fuck was that line? They don't follow up on it, and I love it. It's like, what the fuck was that? What did that mean?
It made it seem like she's been planning this out for a long time.
Dude. Yes, it was so creepy. But yeah, just the way that they do that, they go to such great lengths to show stuff. My least favorite part of the movie, it's because it's not the line or scene itself, it's where they put the scene and cutting to and from it. I did not like the tone shift when they were showing her playing that sport that she was playing.
That was one. Yeah, I didn't like that scene in general, but I liked it for the context of showing, like, this girl's a fighter.
Yeah, she's a badass. Again, that's why I said
she's not helpless.
That's why I was like, I actually like the scene, but I don't like where it was spliced in. They were splicing it into a really intense, suspenseful scene going on at Laura's house.
Yeah.
So you get all this like, oh my God, what is happening? And all of a sudden she's going, eat my balls. And I'm like, well, that was a bad time to do that.
Yeah.
Even though it's a cool scene and it's like, oh, this chick's a badass, dude. And she's like really, really aware and she's very athletic and like, yeah. That was the thing that stuck out.
She can actually see enough of the world around her that when she plays the sports with other blind kids, they make her wear a blindfold.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was cool. But yeah. Wow. Bring her back. Who would have thunk?
I think this is going to be my first non-whole score.
Okay.
In Wild Dream history.
All right. Should we say our score at the same time? I'm curious if it's the same.
Well, let's try it. Okay.
All right. We're gonna try. You ready?
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
8.5. It's an 8.5.
This is an 8.5.
It's an 8.5.
The only thing stopping it, I think, from being a 9 is if they could tell the story quicker. You know, there are moments that it's like, okay, we're taking a little bit of time to do this. But man, is it fucking close.
Yep.
And it is my first dude, 102, 102. 102. That's how long it took me to commit to a half score.
And here we go.
And I know that even YMS does half scores. So I was like, I shouldn't feel bad about doing half scores.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm saying, I'm like, I feel like Hereditary might be an 8.5 for me as well. Like, so it's like, even though I have to give the edge to Hereditary, it's like they're both just as good, you know. In
there
a
are times
way.
that I feel like Hereditary. I go back and forth on that one between a 9 and an 8 all the time too. So I think that one is a true 8.5 as well.
Yeah, that was. I mean, hey, when I first saw Hereditary, I was like, it's like a 6.5, 7. But man, I want to see it again. And I saw it 1 week later with a friend of mine.
Bro,
and then I was like, wait a minute, this is better than I remembered. And then the more I watch it, the more it gets good to me. But we're going to go ahead and deliver on our promise because it is time for us to dive into a traditional part 2. We are so fucking back, baby.
And we'll be right back.
Yup.
And welcome back to the first official traditional part 2 of Wild Dream Podcast. I promised I would do a part 2. I know you guys have been waiting for part 2, specifically part 2, and you knew that this was going to be coming back, and I was finally able to, go through a couple of meditations and go through a couple of anger management classes to really understand and respect the part 2. And I'm not going to lose my temper about who shall not be named.
Get the fuck up.
Woosha.
Fuck meditation.
You are valid. You are strong. You are important.
Question everything.
People want you to. Your value exists.
Everything is random. Chaos reigns.
Okay.
Everything is out of your control.
Well, the after party is here as well.
The existential rave. The after party, baby. Are you on the list? Oh, this, you toots? You're definitely on the list. Let me get a sniff of that. Yeah, you're a Virgo. Get in here. All right. All right.
Classic clip, by the way.
Classic clip of the stream.
I've got some stuff from the IMDb.
And I have stuff from the Reddit discussion.
If you're a newer listener, you're like, what's this traditional part two? This is the traditional part two.
Yeah.
We like to go online, see what other people are saying about the movie, see if there's any interesting trivia. And we're back with that.
We're doing it.
Computer does the same thing.
Now, you found some interesting stuff on the IMDb trivia. What do you got for us, young Dave, on the beat?
Well, first thing I want to bring up is the first question me and Daniel had coming out of the theater was, I wonder if the actress who plays the visually impaired character was actually visually impaired. And she was. In fact, this was her first acting role. She had zero experience before this movie.
Wow.
And her mother found a Facebook post of a casting call for a visually impaired girl.
Dude, that is awesome. Hell yeah. She was great.
Now, this one is, I don't know how you're going to feel about this piece of trivia, so I'm just going to bring it up. Okay?
All right.
The directors of this movie, I don't know how to pronounce this.
Philippou.
Okay. Philippou. The P brothers. The Philippou brothers. I like saying Philippou. There's two P's in there. The Philippou brothers have revealed that in a small way, this movie is tied to Talk to Me. That this movie is in the same universe as Talk to Me. In fact, they said that the Laura lives on the same street as the girl from Talk to Me.
Okay. Same street? Which girl?
I guess the main girl.
Okay.
And apparently...
Like the daughter?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. I was about to say, Laura lives in the fucking woods. Okay.
She kind of does, yeah. She kind of lives out... It looks like she lives out in the middle of nowhere, but, you know.
Okay.
Just a long driveway, I guess. But yeah, they said something about the, invasive spirits that are trying to take over people's bodies in Talk to Me are somewhat related to the demons that are taking over people's bodies and harnessing spirits and things like that. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. The kid who plays Ollie/Connor is the real life son of the character who plays the dad that dies in the beginning of the movie.
Ah, interesting. He has to see his dad's dick?
In his first movie.
We didn't mention that.
He does show full dong.
Yeah, there's full dong in this movie.
I mean, who hasn't seen their dad's dick? Here's something that I really loved that I found out. It makes me respect these filmmakers a lot. Mm-hmm. We talked about how in the Final Destination movie that you had watched some clips from the original movies where they were like pushing things a little bit further and they were like, we don't like the way this looked. We showed it to people and they didn't like the way it looked. So let's go and let's reshoot it and let's do it more, a more crazy way, more practical, whatever. So when they were shooting that scene of him chewing on the knife, obviously it's a rubber knife that he's chewing on. But they were playing the Foley that they made for the rubber chewing sound or the knife chewing sound. And both of the directors were like, it sounds like a sound effect. They're like, it sounds like a sound effect. So one of the directors said, this is the quote he says. He says, it's got to sound real. Give me a knife. And one of the directors chewed on a real knife to make the sound effect of someone chewing on a knife. They also said that when he was chewing on the wood, that it was a very, very small amount of basil wood, whatever, and that it was laced with chocolate so that the kid could chew on it, and all he would taste is chocolate. But one of the directors actually chewed on wood chips for the sound effect. God damn. These guys are legit, man. So I just love that. I was like, I respect them so much more for that. That's awesome. Yeah. Holy shit. Yes. And of course, both of the kids, both of his parents are actors. And so they were both on set at the same time. And the directors say that they said that they weren't worried about the kid coming away traumatized from the gore because of how they did the gore and like made it like literally he's eating candy and stuff like that. But they said that like the actual live sound of that before the sound effects were added, it was just like nothing. So it's like it wasn't as like visceral or brutal until they added those sound effects. So they really, really went in on the sound effects. Yeah. And here's something. So at the end of this movie, there was a dedication of this movie to a friend of theirs whose name was Harley. And apparently the original ending of this movie was that Laura was going to succeed and Kathy's body was going to be put into Piper's body, or Kathy's soul would be put into Piper's body, right? And the reason why they went away from that is obviously during filming, their friend had passed away at 23 years old. And they said death is really unfair and it's really sudden and people don't get a resolution. They said the film's ending goes against conventions a little bit, but it feels more true to life. And I love that. I'm like, I love that you guys pivoted and were like, this movie's about grief. It shouldn't be, we can bring people back. You can't. It didn't work.
Yeah.
You know? And it's almost like the end of this movie feels like, yeah, like this character is finally at the final stage of grief and acceptance. Like, yeah, my daughter's dead. She's not coming back. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I really love that. You know, I was like, yeah,
Great pivot.
You guys made that pivot because of an actual experience of grief that you had, and you knew that people were going to draw the connection to their own grief while watching your movie. So having that moment of just like, yeah, like you just have to grieve. And one of the moments that made us cry in the movie, speaking of grief, at the beginning of this movie, when the dad dies, there's a scene where Andy is underneath a bed with Piper, and you can hear a plane flying overhead. And he says to her, he's like, can you hear that? And she's like, yeah. He's like, that's Dad's soul going to heaven. Which I bet was hard for him to say, knowing his dad was actually going to hell because he's a piece of shit. But she's like, whatever. He's like, yeah, that's actually what happens. You know, you don't ascend to heaven or delve into hell. You just catch a plane. And she's like, whatever. And then after she escapes and she's like out on the street, she finds like she waves down a car and like they end up picking her up. And as they're driving away, she looks up into the sky and sees a plane. And this was like moments after she had found her brother dead in a bathroom. So that part made me really fucking sad. It made me want to cry.
Yeah, that got me too.
Sorry, I said she sees a plane. She hears a plane.
She hears a plane.
Sorry.
And it's playing his voicemail that he
yes.
left. Yeah, it's a very emotional moment.
That's all that I had.
All right. Well, I got a couple of things here. I'll start with the more serious ones. Someone is talking about what we were talking about with, wow, they did really good at not giving you too much information or spoon feeding anything. And someone just said, someone said that never occurred to me, but you're actually right. Most movies like this would have Andy stumble across the foster mom's secret notebook or something. And then there would be a clear step-by-step instructions written out with diagrams just to make sure everyone in the audience knew how the ritual worked. And I was like, yes,
so true.
That's so true. Like, sometimes you praise a movie for what they do well, but you get even more praise when you find out what they didn't do. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, that would be, God, good on them.
Yeah. Like if they saw like their father die and then they were in social services and it said 2 weeks later, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. I'd rather there's no title cards. There's no dream sequences. There's no, like a lot of the stuff that we hate.
Yeah. And I saw a lot of people theorizing about how it was, obviously, like we said, there was a line where she says that she killed his father. And a lot of people are connecting the fact that in the scene that I mentioned, that was the scariest scene of the movie to me with the shower or with the steam in the bathroom. Everyone's connecting that to the father's death as well. It was also a steamy bathroom. And apparently when they find the dad's body, it's too close. When they find the dead dad's body, one of his fingers is missing the same way that one of Andy's is missing as well. After Ollie chomps on his fucking finger.
I see.
So there is a connection with that same thing. So it is pretty suspected that they were a part of the dad's death as well. So I thought that was, that's not confirmed or anything, but I think that's interesting thinking to connect this steamy water, boiling water with the dad's death and then also later on in the movie as well.
Yeah. They definitely hinted at the fact that it's possible that she knew that this girl was visually impaired and was like, when I bring Kathy back, she has to go into the body of someone else who's visually impaired. So she might have forced that. Because she also said that she worked for the social services for 20 years before her daughter passed away. So part of me also thought she knew that this kid, Andy, hit her because maybe social services was called for that.
Yeah, could be. Like, she goes back, so it would make sense.
So like that's something that you can interpret. They don't have to tell you that in the movie, but if
Yes.
you wanted to read more into it, you can. It's like they gave you 2 + 2, but they never give you 4.
Exactly. Imagine that. Like, then what if they just cut to a flashback?
Yeah.
You know,
if they did
of
like
her,
a saw, like
and shows her killing the dad.
Yeah, it would
thank God.
suck.
Yeah. So those were some of the more serious ones, but I have a bunch of stuff I wanted to mention. Someone said, kissing the dead body when you don't even know that person is crazy. Someone said, now it's not that comment I wanted to mention. Some of the replies are like, hey, well, apparently she did know him, saying, you know, I killed your father, blah, blah. But my favorite reply is someone said, it's custom.
Laura, after tries to get Andy to kiss his dead dad and just keeps saying it's customary. It's customary. It's what
custom.
it's what you're supposed to do. It's custom. And he kisses his dad on the forehead and she's like, on the lips. It's custom.
It's custom.
And then he doesn't do it, and then she leans down and kisses the dad on the lips.
Yeah, very
fucking
freaky moment. In her purple outfit at a funeral.
Yeah.
With her goofy ass sunglasses.
I know.
Yeah, someone also said, hey, why would you ever hand food on a knife like that?
I mean, I kind of get it because it's fruit. You know what I mean? Like, I could just take the fruit off.
Yeah, but it's pretty stupid.
Yeah.
It's pretty stupid.
For a little freak fuck, yeah.
Yeah. Keep that freak fuck thing in your mind because that's going to be my last comment I mentioned. Someone said, I love this review, and maybe this review is really hitting me because we just dove into this for an hour plus. But someone said, holy shit, what a film. This is why we go to the movies. You know what? You're fucking right.
This is why we go to the movies.
That is a great review. Someone said, I like how she put a demon in this 10-year-old boy and she still makes him measure his height.
Yeah.
Someone said, I hate that.
Probably part of the ritual.
Maybe. Someone said, I hate that bitch, but damn, Laura's Spotify playlist was fire.
She did have the copyright music was pretty good.
It was good. And then, okay, the last thing I wanted to mention, you mentioned that little freak. So this comment says, I have seen a lot of horror movies with a lot of creepy kids, but this little hobgoblin is the biggest freakazoid freak I've ever seen. That kid either needs an Oscar or 12 to 18 months of inpatient psychiatric care. Could you imagine that little cretin pulling up in the middle of the night and hitting you with the I threw up face? What a fucking gremlin. Jesus Christ, dude.
Oscar, yes. I think this kid deserves so much credit.
Fantastic performance.
I get it that he does just look creepy, you know, and he's going to grow out. He's going to grow into that forehead, I'm sure. But
which also gets bigger.
But it's just his performance is so fucking haunting.
Yep.
Anyways.
But that's all I have as well. That is Bring Her Back. What a fucking joyous experience, man. Great movie.
And let's see the next movie these people make that is a 3-word title.
Yeah, dude, keep making... I'm so on the Philippou brothers train.
We love a good brother duo, creative brother duo
we
out
love
there.
creative brother duo. Yeah, that was fantastic.
If you want to make it a quattro,
hit us up.
We are available for consultation.
Would love to help you guys out with whatever you need. Preferably, I would like to act, but you know, whatever.
And I would love to do anything but acting.
Yeah, that's why we're a perfect duo.
And we can be from Pittsburgh.
That's right.
That's right.
And he's talking like you do. We'll do it.
We'll do it
easily. Well, you know, Billy. The kid that played the brother, he's actually not Pittsburgh. He's not from Pittsburgh.
No.
He's British. I don't know how to say the word British in Australia. No, he's actually British.
English. He's English.
Yeah, he's
English.
Yeah. He's from over there.
So. From over there in England.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this one. Go see this movie if you haven't. If you still can, we're late.
we are a week late.
We're a week late this month. It's fine.
Yeah, Phoenician Scheme coming next week.
If it's still playing in theaters.
If it's still playing in theaters.
We'll see what we can do.
We've got a lot, but thank you for tuning in. You can catch us. You can let us know what you thought of this movie. If you went to go see it, let us know what you thought of this episode. We are at Wild Dream Pod on Instagram and TikTok. We're streaming all the time. Come talk to us about movies. Come talk to us about anything. We do just chatting streams nowadays. So if you're not into video games, you can join us for the Just Chatting streams where we just have conversations and enjoy each other's company, and we get deep.
Yeah.
We are at Wild Dream Stream on Twitch, TikTok, and Instagram.
And YouTube.
But until next time, we love you. We kiss you. Good night.
Me chewing on a knife.